Hello everybody, welcome to live learning geology. I'm here to give you a little chat about geoscience graduates, what applications, what opportunities they can have in the oil and gas industry. I myself, my name is Brian Fogarty. And I have 30 years experience in the oil field. Did not start as a geologist. Geology I had to learn throughout my career. And learning geology have asked me to give you guys a little a chat about the oil and gas industry and what prospects that you are available for geoscience graduates. So what they've done is they've given me a series of questions to start off, and I have one question that Learning Geology has given me. What are the different position roles for geoscience graduates in the oil and gas industry? Okay, so different positions for geoscience graduates in the oil and gas industry. Well, let's start off by saying there are two roles in the oil and gas industry. You will have a production, which is where they have the oil and gas and they're producing it. And then you have what we call the exploration, or it's where the drilling comes into, where they actually have to drill the holes, drill the bore wells to get this oil and gas. And it's where geoscience graduates could play a major role, and actually is in the drilling part of it, because we have to examine. The first thing we would have to do, we would have to find out where the oil is. And usually they would do that with using seismographic. So you have seismographic companies that can need geology graduates because they will form a picture below the ground. And then the only way to confirm that this is true is that you have to drill the well. And that's where we would need a geologist working as a team on site to be able to find us that oil and gas. Now, so that's just one application. So you'll have a geologist on the rig site, but there are other job opportunities as well, because whilst you are drilling, you're getting cuttings back up to surface, and it is there that we have what we call mud loggers. The drilling fluid that we use in the oil and gas industry while we're drilling, we refer to it as mud, and so we call these guys mud loggers, and they examine the returns that are coming up from the hole, and they identify confirm what depths they have. So there's another opportunity for a geology science graduate. Another one that they can, so that's the second. Another one, third one they could do is what we call wireline logging, where we have the well drilled. Now we want to find out exactly what we can have, and one way we can do is we can run these tools down the well bore. And there would be, and usually it's on electric wireline, and then we can determine what sort of rock formations on there. And they're done by a logging crew. Schlumberger, one of the big oilfield services, they started off doing logging. And you can go up their website, Schlumberger, and have a look. Halliburton does it as well. Baker. They would be the three major ones that you can have a look and see if they have any positions. There's also a fourth one that's a possibility, coring. Now this is where we get an actual sample from the well and bring it up, and then they would examine it and to determine. That's another opportunity for a geologist that can get examined into it. So production side, I talked about the drilling. Production side, well, you have to forgive me. Most of my career is based, the 90% of it has been on the drilling side. So that's how I would know. On production, I would have to I would have to investigate further for you to see what's available. But certainly on the drilling side was a lot more for the geosciences graduates. One important point I want to point out as well, don't be tied down that if you have, for example, you do a geology degree, that you feel that you have to stick at it or finish off your degree, but that doesn't mean you have to follow that career. You can also go through other paths into the oil field as well. The oil field would tend to look at, oil companies would tend to look at a graduate that has a degree as a form of education, as a standard of education. So there's a lot more opportunities for you if you got into the, you don't have to be just on the geology side. You can also delve into either drilling or mud engineering or cementing, whatever other applications, once you have a degree. And that's the key thing. Okay, number 2. This is the second question now they've given me. What could be the job role of a fresh graduate student with a geology degree in different sub-departments of the oil and gas industry? Okay, I think I have covered that part. What he's asking here is, the role of a fresh graduate. I think these are more for how they would train. And in the oil and gas industry, we have to train individuals when they have the degree. Or it doesn't make a difference. We still have to bring them out. They have to have a training role. And they have to do courses within the company. And normally typically what they would do with a new graduate that has been hired on is that they would be mentored. They would work with somebody and somebody would show them what to do. And to get them familiarized with the role. They're not expected, and nobody expects somebody to come straight out of university, do the degree, and then a week later get into a job and expect to do it. No, they have to be shown how, and it usually takes about a year. So that's typically within all of the companies. Okay, number 3, how does it feel to work at an offshore rig? That's kind of appropriate because with this coronavirus, I think you're all being locked up. And yep, that's what I know if an offshore rig would look like. In the sense that we call it cabin fever, when you're all together. And usually there's about, typical for a drilling rig, offshore rig, you're looking at about 100 to 150 people on board that rig. And majority of them would be working in what we call 12-hour towers or shifts. And then you do your 12 hours work, you knock off. Now the accommodations are pretty good and you're well fed. And if you're not doing any physical work, in fact, you need to be careful. You might put on some weight because the food is good. But they'll have a gym facilities. You have internet facilities that you can communicate to your families. And the time off is always good. Best job in the world is when you get off that rig. No problem. But you learn to get along with, you have to get along with people, and some people have bad days, some people have good days, and you just learn to work together, work as a team, and then, you have your own room, so there would be privacy that you would have when you knock off your shift. Okay, the 4th one I see here, do you think there are good opportunities for women geoscientists? If yes, how and what sub-departments? Okay, the short answer to that, yes, there is. Um, One proud thing I'm proud to work for in the oil field. There is no. See, Said, Candace asks which country more job opportunity in geology. I believe that's a question they asked Said, so I'll come to that in a minute. But to finish off with this, yes, there is plenty of opportunities for females in the oil field. As I was saying, the one good thing about the oil field industry that I'm proud of is that they are an equal opportunities employer. There is no discrimination against anybody of any race, religion. It makes no difference. Like I said, when you ask me what life was like offshore, you all have to learn to live together. And you all have to learn to work together and to work together as a team. Because it can be a dangerous place and we have to make it safe. And safety has to be a priority and we all have to look after each other and work as a group. So for the oil field, plenty of opportunities for females. They're just the same as for males. So that's I've actually come a lot female loggers, geologists, engineers, drilling engineers. So yeah, lots of opportunities for females. Okay. Okay, the current situation of jobs for geoscientists, I will come back to that because that's a little bit depressing. I think, and then could you explain? I think I'll go, Saeed asked about, he... I think he asked about where more countries have more oil and gas jobs. Right now, with the current situation, Middle East would probably Saudi Arabia, Russia and Saudi Arabia would be the most busiest spots right now on the current circumstances. But I'll come back and I'll explain the economies in a minute. This all changes, and I'll give you my theory why it changes, or my opinion why it changes. Okay. So if I go back, what is the current situation of job for the oil field at the moment is going through what we call a crash. We have these periodically economic crises that happens in mainstream economies usually every 7 years, and the oil field does the same way. It goes through the same crisis. We did have a major one in 2014, and now we are experiencing another one. And what happens is that the oil prices get deflated. And if the revenue is not coming in, then there's not much encouragement for drilling or development. So there's a cutback. So there's a recession. However, usually in about 6 to 8 months, 6 to a year, things turn around and they go back up again. As we give the saying to new guys, if you're in the oil industry, make sure you save, because every 5-6 years we'll have a crash, much the same way like mainstream economies, by the way. So it's part of an economic cycle that the way we go with the prices go up and down. And like I said, I've 30 years been involved in this business. My father worked in the oil business, and right from the 80s, I remember, it goes crashes, but just like the main economies, they go a cycle. And it's the same way, unfortunately, we had a major recession in 2014, and we thought we had survived that, and now we're into another one. But I think it is short term, going from the previous trends that have been since the 80s. And I do expect the prices to be back up next year. So for individuals that are going into college now and haven't finished their degrees, not for another year, now is a good time, because next year they will be rehiring again. So just bear in mind, it does go in cycle, and of course the coronavirus, like all industries, all of the, not just the oil and gas, has also affected things. So there will be, I predict that will change at the end of the year. It will be so for people who are studying, doing their graduate, for next year or just starting into their studies, it's fine. They will be hiring next year. Okay. Now, could you recommend some universities with good petroleum geoscience programs? Aberdeen, where I'm talking to you from, is Robert Gordon University. They do good masters for petroleum sciences in Texas. Naturally enough, they also do good science. Okay, see, Robin, stop your snake oil sales pitch. Okay, Robin, that's your opinion. Estefan Perez, I'm a teacher of geology in Pearl. Okay, welcome, Estefania. I hope we can give you some insights into the oil and gas from a guy that's worked 30 years. Like I said, they are my opinions. Feel free to disagree. Okay. Okay, and that's it. Is there any questions? Okay, Barbara, does natural gas industry follow along with the petroleum industry? Yeah, as a rule of thumb, Barbara, yes, it does. The gas would be under more pressure from a drilling perspective. It's a little bit more difficult. You would probably need more higher pressures to counteract, but more or less it follows. Hello from Morocco. Now, also, Barbara, you put down interns are being cyclic in its economy. It does, but like I said, it's the same in every industry. Remember, we had 2008. We had main economic crash. Hey Ben, hey, I'm student studying geothermal energy. Where do you think of the future of renewable energy is within the field? Hey, good question, Ben. Good question. Actually, that's an exciting opportunity because there's a lot of drilling activity that has picked up with geothermal wells. And it's something, Ben, me personally, I would love to get into more. I know they do it in Indonesia. I've come across it in Indonesia and New Zealand. And yeah, there is a future for that. There is a future. Good question. I forgot all about geothermal. Yeah, because that's an exciting prospect. Okay, folks. Well, that's it. I'll if you have any questions that you think of later on when I finish up, yeah, Yeah, let me just drop us a line from Learning Geology, and we'll get back to you, and we'll hope you have a good evening. Ivor has just sent a quick message. Do you know how the oil seeps helps the hydrocarbon industry? Oil seeps are rare now, Ivor. In a long time ago, it used to be, that's one way they used to find oil before they had seismology and all that. Oil seeps are rare now. Yeah, Ben Smith, I'm in Iceland. Yeah, okay, that's Iceland did come to my mind about geothermal wells, but my personal I come across them both in Indonesia and New Zealand. That's where I had to deal. So, okay, folks, you all have a good day. Like I said, if you want any questions, just post it up on Learning Geology and we'll get back to you. Thank you for listening.